Hey everyone, I'm Samantha Ship. I'm here with James Pelaez. Going to be interviewing him today for my transcultural nursing class. I'm going to go ahead and start with some questions here. With what cultural group do you affiliate with?
Oh, Hispanic group, Latino, Latin.
Okay. Cool. Where were you born at?
I was born in California.
California?
Yeah, raised in Miami.
Oh wow. What language do you speak at home with your family members?
With my mom and my brothers was always English as the main language, and as far as with my dad was Spanish. It was just more. He speaks English, but it's much more comfortable to speak with him in Spanish, and
Right.
it's good practice too. And my grandparents as well Spanish.
Oh wow.
Now they needed to be spoken in Spanish. They understood English, but they were not good fluent conversational.
Wasn't fluent in it?
No.
So what language do you prefer to communicate in with like friends and coworkers?
Oh well, definitely English. Yeah, everyone in Miami, even it was always English. Maybe the Spanglish mix of like Spanish and English words in between, but
Right.
mainly English.
That's cool. What other languages do you speak or read? Is Spanish the only one?
Just Spanish,
In English?
just bilingual. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What about your family members? They speak any other languages or?
No.
Okay.
Well, my mom's from Cuba, my dad's from Colombia, so it's both Spanish-speaking countries.
Okay. Do you have distinctive features characteristic of a particular ethnic or cultural group, like your skin or your hair?
Well, yeah, I tan easily, and I can get pretty dark if I put some effort into it. And my hair was curly when I had it long, and it wasn't like thin Jerry curls or nothing, but it was like wavy hair.
Really?
Yeah, and like dark black hair.
Imagine.
Alopecia though negates that. So, yeah.
So you have alopecia?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Do you or your family members have such features? I guess does your family member have those features as well? Or?
My brother had the wavy hair. My dad had more curly hair. My mom had straighter hair. She's more like European Spanish.
Right.
My dad's more like African, indigenous Spanish mix. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's different.
Neat. Within your family group, are there variations in anatomy characteristics of a particular ethnic group? So I know you mentioned you have alopecia. Does anybody else have that? Or?
No, that's just a rare kind of
Okay.
fluke incident thing.
So even like in the Hispanic culture, that's pretty rare.
Yeah, I have been. I've only seen but a few cases. I have only seen but a few cases my whole life. Period, Mick. A handful of cases.
Wow. Yeah, that's cool. How do your cultural groups? How does your cultural group regard expression of emotion and feelings, spirituality, and religious beliefs?
Emotion, spirituality. When it comes to my family, well, you know, it's really like in Spanish. It's actually very like built in. There's a lot of phrases and stuff like a lot of like Spanish people say the word ojalá, which means like it goes back to like saying like oh Allah from the Muslim when Spain and all that, but like it's very common to say that as like saying like oh God, like or dear God, you know, like ojalá, like I hope this happens, you know what I mean? Like ojalá, yeah, you say that ojalá, you know, like it doesn't rain today. It was just a basic thing, but you don't really question it. Then it, you know, it's like comes from like spiritual background and I don't know. There's a lot of certain superstitions with like my Cuban side of the family when it comes to like the whole like Santeria thing about like certain things that'll cure illnesses and do certain blessings and stuff.
What's some examples of those?
Like if you get a new house, they'll burn these candles that burn like white smoke, and they just go all the way like an incense kind of thing, like a cleansing, or certain oils to cleanse your bodies, or like a thing like you rub an egg on somebody and stuff, and it's supposed to get the spirits out. I mean, I'm not even kidding.
Wow.
Yeah.
What about feelings related to like dying, death, or grieving?
Maybe it's just, I don't know if it's a Hispanic thing, but our family didn't really like to like use the same name for like somebody that died from a disease or something. They wouldn't use that name in the family again. They would kind of take it like that. They didn't know if it was like just a bad for a bane or whatever.
Right. What about like a practice when somebody dies? Like, is there
Catholic. They just went. A lot of Hispanics are Catholic, so and even like the whole Santeria thing. follows very similar to Catholicism and stuff. It includes Jesus and everything, but yeah, they kind of, my Cuban side of the family has a little bit of that kind of involved. It's just like hints of it. They weren't very, very religious like that, but you could tell they had those like
Right.
the superstitions followed.
Okay. Let's see here. What is your cultural perception of aging? Like, is wisdom of age more valued or youthfulness?
Wisdom of age, more value. When it comes to things like that in our family, pretty much you go to like like the older people. My grandparents had a say. They would kind of want to come for like a big purchase of a car, or something. They would want to be a part of the family, kind of bring them along, and
Right.
it was one of those things like. You kind of didn't leave grandma out of things, and my grandparents out because it was seen as rude. They wanted to be part of it and all that. So,
Right.
yeah, that was one thing that I noticed a lot as a kid, or like the whole thing where like, oh, don't you put me in a nursing home and this and that. Yeah, that's a big deal.
As far as economics, what impact does the economic status have on you and your family's lifestyle and living conditions? Have any impact?
Well, like my dad couldn't get health care for a good bit. He had to pretty much just tough it out. And luckily, he never got sick, but he didn't believe in healthcare. He was a carpet installer and stuff. They didn't really pay for that. So
Right.
you just take it. My mom, what's it called? She was at home with us. She was the homemaker for a good portion of our lives and stuff. So she didn't work. My dad just worked, and that's normal. That's actually pretty common in in Miami and stuff. Like you'll see a lot of that. Just Hispanic families sometimes they see that kind of male breadwinner, female
Right.
homemaker.
Does he have insurance now? Or?
Oh yeah. Obamacare hooked them up really good.
As far as educational background, what's your highest level of education?
An associate's degree.
Okay. What values do your family members express regarding educational achievements?
All I think is great. Like none of them have a college degree, so that the fact that I graduated, it's a big thing. Just even doing that, my dad always thought it was better to work under air conditioning than it was to sweat all day, and
Right.
working construction. And he taught me to do that, but he felt bad for teaching me to make my own money with construction. So he thought he was like teaching me the wrong way instead of I should do like the modern way of making money and assuring your economic, like your stability.
Right. Let's see. Do you or your family members, what do you believe promotes health? Like eating certain foods, wearing ambulance,
Well,
anything like that?
kind of similar stuff like that. They kind of felt that certain things were good for that. Like they have this thing. And you'll see like in the Spanish channel the cat's claw thing, uña de gato. That's what it was called in Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
Cat's claw is like it's one of those. It's one of those like supplements and stuff you could take, and they have some other ones that are pretty common, like like ginkgo and ginseng.
Okay.
So they look at similar stuff like that, herbal remedies, and then there was like just certain ideas, like if you're sick or whatever, like eat soups and stuff. A lot of vegetables kind of clean your system out and stuff. But my dad was really big on that because they do that a lot. They eat a lot of soups in Colombia.
Oh yeah, I like it
there. You render a lot from the meat.
Right. Any like rituals or anything like that?
I wasn't too involved, but I mean, my parents believed in certain things like that. Like even though they weren't like into the whole like voodoo or aspect of like those kind of like of that aspect of like religion, but it's very mixed. The whole like old African stuff and the Christianity when it comes to Hispanic cultures is very ingrained. So they have those kind of like Santeria superstitions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting because it changes the way that they perform it is different, but it's all similar, like witch doctory kind of stuff.
Right.
I thought it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. Let's see here. So, as far as like a typical family, what would be the composition of a typical
a lot of the families took care of the grandparents and stuff, and it was usually like the daughter took care of the mom and all of them, and or sometimes like the oldest uncle would take care of the grandparents and stuff, or somebody would handle the finances. But like in my family, like a lot of families that I knew that were Hispanic families, they had the grandparents living with the.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah, they would bring them after a certain age, or if they got sick or whatever, or you'd go live with them for a while. But they were very into taking care of them and not, like I said, not putting them in the nursing home. That was a big like no over there. With the, I feel like Hispanic people don't want to be put in
Right.
nursing homes and
So
stuff.
it was common for grandparents to live in.
Yeah. Which I think nursing homes are, the idea of nursing homes is great, but they just don't. They see it as like they're being pushed away from the family.
Right.
It's different. I don't know why they look at it that way.
What's the composition of your family?
Oh, my grandparents lived with us for a good portion, and I stayed living with my parents till pretty late. You know what I mean? Into my 20s and stuff, and that was normal. They didn't even want me to go. They're like, "Oh no, just go stay. Make don't spend your money. Save it. Stuff like that."
That's cool. As far as nutrition, is there any particular nutritional practices such as vegetarianism or abstinence from red meat?
Because my dad, he came from Colombia. They were pretty poor. It was very common to not eat a lot of meat. Actually, it was more about eating vegetables and soups. They have a soup that they make a lot in South and Central America called ajiaco, and it's just like potato, like cook the potatoes, and then after you're done cooking them, you might like liquefy them so it makes a thick soup, and put a bunch of vegetables and stuff in there. You might put a little bit of meat, just what you could get and afford, and that way the whole family could eat a little bit of meat with all the other stuff and bones and all. Yeah, you don't waste anything. Like my dad eats the fish eyes, like every part, except for the brains. They at least learned that the brains, the prions and stuff. But
what about like alcoholic beverages or?
Oh, my family was very like big on like alcohol and like drugs and stuff were just really bad. So like my dad really he maybe drank like once in a blue moon, and it wasn't even like that. And even like coming from Colombia, where of course there was a bunch of drugs everywhere. It was like a big taboo for people like the locals to actually consume them. You know what I mean?
Right.
So even though they produced it over there, it was very frowned upon and not good over there. So they kind of have a weird outlook when it comes to alcohol and stuff because of that.
What about what's some of your favorite meals from your childhood?
My childhood, they used to make like kind of how they make like breaded chicken and stuff. They used to make breaded steaks, breaded chickens like that were great. Which was literally called bistec empanizado steak, breaded steak and stuff like that. There's something called fricassee. It's like a tomato-y kind of sauce, and you put the chicken inside there, bone and all, and you cook it for a good while, and then you can put potatoes in there and onions and of course other spices that they use. And there's a lot of like soupy foods like that. Like sometimes like I felt like Hispanic food is not the prettiest when it comes to culinary because it's very saucy and just kind of thrown in, but it tastes amazing. It's kind of or like gumbo stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's similar to something like that.
It sounds really good.
It's not pretty if you look at it, but it's amazing to eat.
So do your family members adhere to these beliefs and practices, or if there is a particular belief or practice related to nutrition?
Nutrition and health?
Are they kind of outside the box a little bit?
I feel like everyone kind of, it's hard not to get Americanized.
Right.
But my dad will always make his soups every now and then, and I have a big giant pot to make those things, the special soups, the big giant spoon. I mean, it's pretty large, and that was something to make every now and then, kind of to clean he would say to clean his system out. Also, like he would drink a lot of water at the end of the day and try to stay away from sodas. Just drink a lot of water and stuff to hydrate. And what else did my dad? Yeah, my dad would he would water down his orange, like apple juice and orange juice sometimes because it was too sweet for him.
Right.
Yeah, he thought he was gonna drink this. So things like that. I guess you could tell he really wasn't used to American food ever fully. He still liked his style food.
Right. As far as religion and spirituality, What is the role of religious beliefs and practices during health and illness?
Religious during health and illness. Well, they usually, I mean, they take Western kind of like medicine, but they would also like add in their own like spiritual, like I said, like the candles cleansing and stuff.
Right.
Maybe if someone's sick and it's terminal now, so then they'll take some kind of like prayers or certain things from a certain person, or what they call like a curandero is like the town healer, kind of like I said before, like a witch doctor.
Right.
Have someone like that that's like, or that's kind of like, you almost want to say like ordained or something, but they're put into that position and they're known for that, and they'll come bless them and kind of cure, maybe use like herbal remedies and stuff like that. That's pretty common. Even in Miami, there's little stores. They're called bodegas.
Bodega.
Yeah, they're called exactly bodegas. So you go there and they actually like sell nothing but that, like certain candles, either like, and then like certain saints, like for Catholicism.
Right.
So certain saints, so certain like things that they would do. You see a little picture of them, and even at some of like the grocery stores, there'll be a little aisle, and they'll have a bunch of those candles and stuff like that, because it's very common for them to light a white candle for a dead family member,
Right.
or this and that for so many days. They do things like that.
So there's like different candles for different purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I like praying to different saints and stuff for Catholics. It's the same thing, because that's very tied into it.
That's neat. What about, are there any special rites or blessings for those of serious or terminal illness? I think we might have talked about this already.
Yeah, kind of like that. Like I said, they kind of turn to their more holistic means of medicine once they see that the Western either isn't working, or it's just like there's nothing you could do at that point. Like you said, it's terminal.
Right. Okay. As far as values, orientation, how do you and your family view work, leisure, and education?
Work, leisure, and education. Like I said before, my dad thought education was the top thing nowadays. He thought it's money. No matter how much debt you go into, at least you can make money from it. He knew from his day he can work off his labor, like, or calling that work, so to say. And he thinks work is everything. My dad's like, he would wake me up like, I mean, he'd be upset. I had to tell him to chill out a little bit. Like, we're in North Carolina now. People like to sleep till 9 o'clock in the morning. This isn't Miami, where everything's going already at 6 in the morning, and people don't care. You're knocking at the door at 7 in the morning. No, like, I was like, no, people don't do that. This is a little slower. And he kind of had to change moving from Miami to Charlotte, because it's totally different. It was more of an American lifestyle versus very Hispanic lifestyle, which they start early. Like,
right.
It's just how it is. A lot of things are open 24 hours. The cafes are open early, so it's made for that to cater to that early workforce. Where they still think it's like the farm days, where you have to wake up early before the sun comes up, so that you get an early start and eat. So it was work, education, and leisure. Leisure was the one that got left behind. We rarely ever went on vacations and stuff. We never traveled the United States or anything like that. We went to Orlando, and we took a trip to Colombia once, South America. But that's it. We never really like vacationed a whole lot, because my dad worked like a dog. He was a carpet installer, so there was work. He worked after Hurricane Andrew. He would work, like days in a row with very minimal sleep, because there was just so much work to do, and they paid so well at that time.
Wow, that's pretty interesting.
It's all about sacrifice too.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all I got. Thank you so much for your time.
No problem. You're welcome.